Tonight on CFTK-TV, how Canadians are maximizing their grocery bills, the CFIA looks to kill over 300 ostriches in the Kootenays, and Donald Trump orders Canada to contribute more to NATO.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, I'm Damian Smith, and thank you for joining us here on CFTK-TV. Good news for those near the Central Coast, where an announcement recently came from the BC provincial government declaring that yet another area of the province now has access to high-speed internet. The area that can now access digital services in a more reliable fashion will cover places like Bella Coola, Hoggensborg, and the Newhawk First Nation. This work was done by a pair of connectivity projects that were both built and operated by City West and will supposedly cover over 860 homes in total with internet. As background info, the provincial government committed nearly $3 million to these projects, and they were able to do so by utilizing the Northern Development Initiative Trust operated by the Connecting British Columbia program. City West also pitched in at $930,000 of their own to make these projects come to life. Now moving on to a Vancouver but also provincial story, and that is the housing crisis. Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim believes that those in Vancouver have done enough to provide housing for those who live in the city, that other areas outside of Vancouver should be stepping up to provide more accommodations. Abigail Turner from CTV has more on this story.
Street homelessness in Vancouver has increased since the pandemic began, but the city's police chief has been clear.
Total crime is down 7%.
Despite that, Mayor Ken Sim says he's making two big moves.
Launching a citywide crackdown on gangs, equipping law enforcement with the tools to target these criminal networks.
What that would look like on the street is unclear since there were no details provided. The mayor is also rejecting any future supportive housing in his city because he feels Vancouver has done enough.
To put it bluntly, it's also time for other municipalities to step up and develop supportive housing in their communities as well.
Reaction from housing advocates has been negative.
The very last thing we need is for cities to start pointing the finger at each other and using their powers to actually block housing, because we know that the solution to homelessness is more housing.
And while the housing minister says Sim has a point,
we haven't seen enough action from others in the region.
Misinformation around supportive housing has stigmatized what he considers an effective use of taxpayer dollars.
Reduces costs and pressure on communities. If you don't have supportive housing, you have people living in parks, living in encampments, sleeping on bus stops. That is actually more unsafe for communities than having people indoors with the supports they need.
These issues were hot topics of discussion at the Save Our Streets Public Safety Forum in downtown Vancouver, where Sim made his announcement. Law enforcement, medical experts, politicians, and business leaders were among others gathered to talk problems and solutions.
We need to demonstrate to government that this isn't just business complaining. This isn't just a small town complaining. This isn't just downtown Vancouver complaining. This is a province-wide issue that requires expertise, that requires everyone working together.
The one thing everyone agrees on is that there are no easy solutions to very complex problems.
And over in Dawson Creek, the suspect in a northeastern BC shooting that left one person dead, another injured, was recently charged with second-degree murder. Dawson Creek's RCMP said in a statement that a 23-year-old man was arrested following the shooting 5 days ago on January 19th. Police next stated that the incident involved people that were known to each other and that there's no risk to the general public. Investigators also said that they're looking at some other ongoing investigations in the local area to see if any additional charges are relevant to this case. As we move on to international news, and a trade war that may be right around the corner between Canada and the United States, President Donald Trump has yet another requirement for Canada, that is their contributions towards NATO, which Canada ranks as one of the lowest in dollars spent around the world. Judy Trin has more on this story over in Ottawa.
Hello.
Appearing virtually at the World Economic Forum, President Donald Trump amplified his threat of a trade war with Canada.
We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas.
25% tariffs could be imposed as soon as February 1st, but Trump repeated his offer for a way out.
I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you.
unacceptable to the Prime Minister.
One goal, not to figure out how to manage these tariffs and live with them over the long term, but to figure out how to get them removed as quickly as possible.
That strategy also includes reaching the NATO 2% spending target during Trump's term, instead of the 2032 timeline the government had previously set. Canada buys 70% of its defense equipment from the Americans and could buy more.
We think that because of the investments that we're going to have to make over the next 4 or 5 years in national defense, it is going to give us an opportunity to do business with Americans where it makes sense for Canadians.
But Trump is moving the bar again.
I'm also going to ask all NATO nations to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP, which is what it should have been years ago.
None of NATO's 32 members are close to reaching that number. At the top of the list, Poland contributes just over 4%. The U.S. is at 3.38%, while Canada is spending 1.37% of its GDP, or $41 billion a year. For Canada to get to 5% would require spending $150 billion annually.
Currently, we are vastly over-reliant on the American military.
This analyst says Trump is banking on a win.
Even if you buy, in some cases, European-made planes or army equipment, it's got American gear in it. So any level of increased spending at anywhere in the alliance has some benefit to the United States.
Canada's inability to meet its military targets has been a trade irritant with the U.S. for years. Now it's become a gaping wound in a looming trade war.
Coming up next, why the CFIA has to kill over 300 ostriches west of Kootenay. Welcome back to CFTK-TV. Well, you don't see ostriches around Canada that much, and it is possible that we may see hundreds less after the Canadian Food Inspection Agency plans to kill over 300 ostriches due to the ongoing avian flu. Those who are taking care of the birds are looking to fight back. Michelle Bernoro of CTV News has more down in the interior of British Columbia.
Everybody's looking absolutely beautiful.
On this farm in the remote West Kootenay community of Edgewood, there are about 400 ostriches.
Some of the ostriches that we have out there are 34 years.
But the Canadian Food Inspection Agency has ordered the destruction of all of them by February 1st after 2 tested positive for avian flu.
It makes me want to cry right now. It was very devastating.
In total, 69 ostriches here have died since around mid-December, but Pasitny believes the surviving birds have developed an immunity.
We haven't had a new symptom or a death for a week now.
On Wednesday, about 30 people against the cull rallied outside the farm.
We had so many people here and just peaceful.
Pasitny says the farm, which is part of an international research program on COVID-19 antibodies, is looking at legal options.
We are seeking an injunction. If that's what we have to do.
She believes the birds do not pose a threat to the public.
They're quarantined, and they're contained. They're never flying anywhere. And we're in a really remote area away from any other chicken producers.
No one from the CFIA was available for an interview, but said in an email that the agency is continuing to work with the farm to gather information and that it will be able to provide a more comprehensive update early next week. The CFIA also says there is no conclusive evidence that ostriches have more immunity to the virus compared to other bird species, and adds that the disease can transmit from animals to humans, especially people in close contact. The BC Conservative Agriculture critic says the CFIA is doing its best to manage the devastation caused by avian flu, but he has questions about the ordered cull.
They're not inside of a barn, so someone tell me from CFIA how on February 1st you're going to deal with killing 300-pound ostriches in some kind of a humane way.
For Pasitny, the thought of having to destroy the beloved herd is just too painful. Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Vancouver.
And now we take a look at tonight's local weather forecast and for the week ahead. The north coast should have mainly cloudy conditions with fog patches developing overnight with lighter winds except for ones from the northwest at 30 kilometers per hour over the coastal sections, and the low will be 3 degrees. The Terrace and Kitimat region should also be cloudy with fog patches arriving sometime after midnight and lighter winds up to 15 kilometers per hour with a wind chill of -8 and a low of -3. The Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, after being -3 today, expect a steep drop to -17 with clear conditions and winds up to 15 kilometers per hour. The wind chill should also be -14. Onto your weekly weather forecast, the north coast should see a sunny weekend, then next week we'll see showers, flurries, and snow with steady temperatures throughout. The high will be 6 degrees tomorrow and the low will be -1 on Sunday night. Terrace and Kitimat will see sun up until Tuesday, where there should be flurries or snow on Tuesday and Wednesday. But for the next 3 days, expect some clouds and sun. The high will be 1 degree this weekend and the low will be -4 on Sunday and Tuesday night. The Bulkley Valley and Lakes District will have a very sunny next few days up until Tuesday night. And starting on Wednesday, expect to see cloudier conditions start to seep in. The high will be 1 degree on Sunday, while the low will be -9 on Sunday night, so there should be a little bit of a drop that night. Now we take a look at your Northwest Roadside Report. For more updates, make sure to check out drivebc.ca. On Highway 16, there is fog patches between Skeena to Doreen, slippery sections throughout. Highway 37, there is fog patches from Terrace to Kitimat, compact snow from Kitwanga to the Yukon border, and slippery sections. Highway 37A has a vehicle incident between American Pullout and Cullen Crescent Bridge and compact snow. Highway 118 has slippery sections. The Nishka Highway has fog patches, and Telegraph Creek Road has compact snow. And these were what the cameras were looking like from around the Northwest. Still to come, how Canadians use outside resources to save on their grocery bill. Hello again and welcome back to CFTK-TV. To meet international needs, criminal drug organizations are becoming more and more common around Canada. In fact, these organized crime groups have more than doubled since the year of 2023, leaving more resources need to locate these undercover operations. And Adrian Gabriel of CTV News has more on this global report.
On the street, some users call it dragon's breath for its deadly potency.
People, in terms of illicit drugs, are always looking to get more bang for the buck, if you will, more high for the dollar. And fentanyl gives you that.
And it appears that more criminals than ever on Canadian soil are now producing fentanyl to keep pace with domestic and international demand. Criminal Intelligence Service Canada are reporting the number of organized crime groups involved in manufacturing illegal drugs, including fentanyl, has doubled from 51 in 2023 to 99 in 2024. It's a lucrative business model for criminal organizations.
Making 1 kilogram of fentanyl costs $1,300, generating profits between $5 to $15 million.
The drug is also estimated to now kill approximately 80,000 people a year across North America. Recently, U.S. President Donald Trump blamed Canada, in part, for the crisis.
The fentanyl coming through Canada is massive.
Though the VP of Intelligence for the Canada Border Service Agency has said that Canada is not a significant source of fentanyl in the United States. In 2024, 4.9 kilos of fentanyl was seized at border crossings by CBSA officers. The only large shipment that was caught was going to the Netherlands, not the U.S., though that doesn't mean fentanyl isn't being shipped out of Canada to other countries. In October, the RCMP busted this super lab north of Kamloops with enough product on site to produce up to 95 million doses of fentanyl. It's believed that the majority of the chemicals used to make fentanyl are being imported from China, many of which aren't even illegal.
90% of the chemicals used to make fentanyl are unregulated and legally available.
Those closely monitoring the international drug trade say any claims from the White House that Canada is flooding the United States with fentanyl are likely false, noting that the cartels in Mexico have a near monopoly on the shipment of synthetic drugs into the U.S.
BC Energy Minister Adrian Dix said in a statement that the province faces rising stakes for bolstering its energy independence given the looming prospects of tariffs from the United States. Dix said that while there was an urgency before the U.S. election, there is even more pressure now with President Donald Trump's 25% tariff threat. The minister next said that he expects BC Hydro to issue more calls for power as the province works to fast-track permitting for renewable energy projects. BC has been a net importer of electricity for the past couple of years, with significant amounts of power being purchased from Alberta. While many Canadians find themselves budgeting when it comes to grocery bills in particular, some are using external apps to buy higher quality products at larger discounts. Here's Pat Foran of CTV News.
What was your name?
Crystal.
Perfect.
Crystal Tong is stopping by this superstore to pick up her flash food order. Tong says she's been using the program for the past few years to get grocery items nearing their best before date at a discount. Some of the best deals are on meats that are frozen before their expiry date. How much do you think you saved here? Usually I would say the meats are at least half price.
Shoppers use the Flash Food app to see what's available, place their order, and pay online. Then they stop by the store to pick up their discounted items.
I am a single mother, and this allows me to buy high-quality products at a discounted price, a significant discount.
Loblaw says since it started its partnership with Flash Food 5 years ago, it's saved customers $238 million and diverted 86 million pounds of potential food waste from landfill sites.
You see customers coming in every day, picking up those items, whether it's meat, produce, whatever it might be, to help build their meal or even build a whole meal.
One of the most popular items on the app is the produce bag. You get 5 pounds of fruits and vegetables. They've sold 900,000 of these bags over the past year.
$5, if you can believe that. Great value.
Consumers have really identified with these type of apps.
Retail analyst Bruce Winder says as food prices continue to rise, consumers are looking for more options to lower their grocery costs. Other apps like Food Hero and Too Good To Go also offer discounts to save money and prevent food waste.
I think it's a major growth area. I think you'll see a number of apps playing in this field.
$30 piece of salmon, you're going to find it in the app for just over $15. Incredible value.
Flash Food is available in 850 different Loblaw stores and may be a good option to check out if you're trying to save money on your grocery bill. Pat Foran, CTV News.
Now we turn our attention to the stock market, where we have a mix of everything today. The Canadian dollar is up about 0.2 of a penny. The price of gold is up about $14. Oil is up 4 cents. Natural gas is down 2 cents, and aluminum is down $5. In Toronto, the TSX is up 34 points. The Venture Index is up 4.31. In New York, the Dow Jones is down about 141, and NASDAQ is down 99.38. Still ahead, we take a look at Canadian contributions at the Oscars. Welcome back to our final segment. Well, storylines are moving quickly in the federal Liberal Party, where we're now 9 days away from all running candidates being approved or not as the leader of the Liberals. Here's some of the headliners from Mike LeCouture of CTV News.
In a display of his growing support, Mark Carney held a meet and greet in Ottawa as the deadline to enter the Liberal Party leadership race came to a close.
We can put this economy back on track as a team. It's not just about me, it's very much as a team.
That team behind Carney is growing. CTV News has confirmed Cabinet Minister and one key Quebec organizer, François-Philippe Champagne, is ready to endorse Mark Carney this weekend. although he played coy today.
Wait until the end of the week, I would say, but someone who shared my vision, of an ambitious Canada, of a confident Canada, of a prosperous Canada.
While Carney adds cabinet ministers to his team, Chrystia Freeland is doing the same, arriving at the caucus retreat, flanked by two of them.
For me, a huge emphasis is going to be reviving the party.
Other contenders believe that revival begins with them. Jaime Batiste kicked off his campaign hoping to be the first Indigenous Prime Minister of Canada, and Karina Gould finalized her paperwork, promising to be more in touch with Canadians.
I think we have to be honest about the fact that Canadians have lost trust in our party. And part of it is because I don't think we responded to the issues that they were telling us mattered to them.
That admission comes as contenders lay out positions contradicting current party policy. Freeland has said she would scrap the consumer carbon tax and roll back changes to the capital gains inclusion rate, two initiatives she defended as finance minister.
There's no flip-flopping here. It's purely an evolution in a positive direction. I'm quite happy about it.
The Liberal Party says it'll take 10 days to verify all of their applications before declaring them candidates. And the deadline for Liberal supporters to register so they can vote for the next leader is next Monday.
And from surprises to snubs, movies up for Hollywood's top prize were announced yesterday, where musicals led the way with the most nominations, and some Canadians also made the cut. CTV's Kathy Lee has the details for our final story of the day.
I felt dirty as Indian.
Canada's dark past is present in Sugarcane, up for Best Documentary at the Oscars.
It means the world to have our film recognized in this way, and most importantly, to have this story seen by the Academy and hopefully by audiences far and wide.
We see the impacts in our community every single day.
The film investigates abuse and missing children at a residential school in British Columbia.
This is a moment of reckoning, and we feel so lucky that Sugarcane is part of this movement towards truth.
It's such a well-made film. It's such an important topic, and that's always a consideration for the Academy.
Another Canadian also made the ballot for the costume designs in vampire film Nosferatu.
It's absolutely fabulous. It's sort of like a huge kiss to everyone in the costume department.
Emilia Perez.
Emilia Perez.
Emilia Perez.
13 nominations puts Emilia Perez at the front of the pack. The drug kingpin musical is up for Best Picture and Best Actress for Carla Sofia Gascon, a first for an openly trans actor. The film under scrutiny for using AI to increase Gascon's singing voice, as well as The Brutalist, a story about the immigrant experience. The film used AI to enhance the Hungarian accents of the two leads, including Adrian Brody, who is of Hungarian descent.
Is it going to hurt their chances at winning Oscars? To be honest with you, I don't think so.
The use of AI is nothing new, also used to alter the voice of a young Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian.
The date for announcing these nominations was pushed twice due to the LA wildfires. The Academy plans to give a nod to those on the front lines fighting them at the Oscars ceremony. Kathy Lee, CTV News, Calgary.
That'll be all for our cast tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a good weekend.